Welcome to Sound Stewardship's February webinar, the Family Adventure Roadmap, Travel Plans for Every Phase of Life. I'm your guest host, Kristin Schroeder. I'm the marketing manager at Sound Stewardship, and today's session is all about making your travel dreams become reality, no matter what stage of life. To guide us through this topic, I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Karen Harrison. Karen grew up in Ireland and came to the US for college, where she met her husband, Jonathan Harrison, my colleague and partner at the firm. Together, they have 3 teenagers, and over the years, Karen has developed a passion for planning incredible trips for family and friends. Now she's a travel advisor with Stryker Travel Group, and she helps others create custom travel experiences to places like Ireland and Europe and Disney. Karen, thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to have you.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Before we dive in, I'm curious, you get to talk to people all day long about their travel dreams. What's one destination that's always been on your travel list?
When I was younger and I lived in Ireland, my dream destination was Walt Disney World. I saw like a special on TV or something, and that was it. And now I honestly thought that the entire US was just built around Walt Disney World.
Oh, that's great.
And now I think honestly, it's like wherever my clients are going that I'm planning right now, like Ireland is probably up there. I've sent a few clients there, and so much bread and chocolate and
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing. It's fun to hear where you're dreaming of.
All right. Should we get started?
Let's get started.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we are talking today about traveling along the circle of your life, basically. And let me just, before we get into that circle, let me just kind of explain to you like who I am. Kristin did give me a little bit of an intro, but I work with Stryker Travel Group, and we have kind of a couple of different sections of our company. We have Magic Mouse Travel, which kind of, as the name would give away, deals with a lot of Disney and Universal theme parks, all of that kind of area, and then off to Anyland, which that also seems to make sense. Wherever you want to go, we can get you there. And then we just brought in another company called Golden Compass, and that's kind of for those like bucket list adventures, that luxury travel. If you just want to show up and have everything planned from getting to your hotel to, every detail sorted out for you. So we kind of do those 3 separate types of trips all in one group.
Very good.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about how travel changes as you go through your life. So we're just kind of gonna say we're starting off, we've graduated college and we're out there on our own and we're ready to kind of explore the world and build that confidence. And for each kind of section, we're going to talk about some financial tips, some like roadblocks or pain points that you might come across, and then just some suggestions of where you might want to go during that time. So let's talk about budgeting for when you're traveling on your own. So the nice thing about traveling on your own is you're only paying for one person, which is great. The downside of that is that, well, you're the one paying for everything. There's no one else to chip in. And so how will we pay for our trip? And you're going to hear this a lot, especially because we are doing a webinar for a financial planning firm. We're going to be budgeting for all of our trips. And seeing where we can save and, make that more affordable for you. Traveling solo, one of the great things that you have on your side is that you can choose a little bit more freely when you want to travel. And that's a great way to save. So you're going to be looking for times when kids are in school, when all of those people can't travel. That's your time to go because their prices are lower, the crowds are lower. That's awesome. And you can save a lot on your accommodation and your transportation that way. You can also find those smaller rooms in a lot of places, a studio room. Those tend to go for cheaper as well. So you've kind of got a few things on your side that way. Another thing you're going to want to think about is to make sure that you have some good travel insurance, especially good travel insurance with a line that you can call 24/7 in case something goes wrong. You're going to want to make sure you have a couple people that you can reach out to because you're on your own who can help you in an emergency. So some good travel insurance with a concierge phone number that you can call if you need help. And then a good solid emergency fund before you leave. So if something happens, you have the funds to deal with it right then and there. So your insurance a lot of times will reimburse you afterwards. So you're going to want your good emergency fund in place before you travel, especially far away.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Another thing you can do is use credit card miles. If you are a responsible credit card user, this is a good way to save on your trip. Now, I see a lot on Instagram. Obviously, I follow like a bunch of travel gurus or whatever, any tips I can get to help clients. And a lot of the times I see them like, here I am, look at me, I'm in first class and I'm in a suite on a plane and all this. And they're like, and I did it for $100. And I'm like, that's amazing. They're like, I just did it by having miles with this card and I transferred it to this card and then I did this. And it's like a full-time job.
Right.
You could do that. You could definitely, maximize those miles and get first class where, I mean, that would be great. But every time I look at them, I'm like, you're traveling by yourself. You do not have 3 kids to also have to do that. It's hard to get that many points, but just for
Right.
you, that could be something you could look into. If not, you can still definitely use those miles. So, um, as long as you're paying off your balance, that's a great tip. Okay.
That's right.
Here's some pain points or solutions that you might run into. Obviously, first and foremost, safety when you're on your own, especially if you're a woman traveling by yourself. I know that that's a real concern. Some things to think about when you're out traveling. Try and not have your face in your phone when you're in those crowded areas, when you're, in a train station or an airport, stuff like that. You're just going to want to make sure that you're looking around. Maybe keep one headphone in with your directions instead of your head down in your phone trying to figure out where you're going. Don't be out too late at night. Obviously, limit your alcohol. Make sure that you're staying in a reputable area. I know it might seem like it would be worth getting a less expensive hotel, but if it's in a seedy area, you don't want to be nervous when you're traveling.
Yeah.
Obviously, loneliness, like you're not going to be with someone else. It's kind of like you're surrounded by people, but not with anybody. And so that can be a real, can take some of the fun out of the trip. And so something that you could do is you could book some, like a short-term, maybe half-day group tour or something where you get to be with someone else, talk to a tour guide. And also, when you have a tour guide, that's a great way to get recommendations for local restaurants or hidden gems. So adding 1 or 2 of those into your trip just gives you some human interaction.
That's a great idea.
And then the other pain point, whereas we kind of talked about the benefits of solo travel, sometimes there's actually extra fees for solo travel. Cruises, for example, for the most part, do not want one person in a cabin where they could have 2. And so there's usually a supplemental fee for a solo traveler. And a lot of times a group tour can do that as well. They want those rooms booked with 2 people.
Hmm.
So a lot of times there's some extra fees on top of your own fare, which is sad.
That is sad because cruising feels like it would be something that would be easier and more approachable as a single.
Right. Yeah. So it's got its downsides as well, but there's ways to deal with it. Here are some destinations that will help with that. Just some countries. I kind of try and put like some closer, like European, some further away, some, around the US or, within a direct flight at least. So Thailand is a very easy, safe, and affordable place to go. Portugal, also Japan, super safe to go. A lot of people travel there solo and have a great time. So those are all some good ideas. And then some cruise lines are actually copping on to the idea that people are wanting to travel solo more these days. And so Norwegian Cruise Line has actually started making cabins for solo travelers with no fees, making it a lot easier. So on their newer ships, you'll see a lot more than that. And then
Awesome.
Uniworld for river cruises also has no single supplement fees. So if you want to do something in Europe, say, that's a good, you can find them, they're out there. And then some other ideas for you if you want to travel as a single person. Join a small group tour. In fact, literally 5 minutes before I logged on here, I got an email from Uniworld saying that they were doing a women's only cruise.
Oh,
Which
that's
is wonderful
amazing.
for, yeah, really good for that single female traveler who wants to get out and see the world. And they're having one of the comedians, Rachel, someone from SNL, is going to be doing
Oh,
like comedy nights on it and stuff. Anyway, it looks really good, but there's definite ways to get out there, or
yeah.
get your book club together and get a group going. There's a lot of benefits for booking as a group through an advisor. Like you can, have a cocktail party, or
Yeah.
book out the karaoke room just for your group, or get extra bonuses. And the same thing goes for an all-inclusive or something. So think about ways that you could travel by yourself but with people, or you can also join one that's already programmed. So
I
okay.
have a friend who went to Thailand recently as part of a small group tour. She's in
Mhm.
her 20s and she lives in New York City. And she said it was just the most fabulous experience. And she made friends and just had the
Yeah.
best time. So
You
it's really
obviously you
cool.
have something in common with those people. You're going to the same place. You obviously,
Yes. Yeah.
so yeah. And then you might meet someone. So now you're a couple, and we're dealing with some honeymoon and all of the things that come with that. And so here's a couple of tips for traveling without kids. So honeymoons are great because now you can add travel to your registry. So people can actually help pay for
Yeah.
that. In fact, our company, on our payment form, when people are, putting payments on their trips, one of the questions is, are you putting this towards a gift for a honeymoon? So
Oh,
they're
that's
easy
neat.
for people to help with that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you might get some cash gifts, and then you could also think about honeymoon packages, which are actually way more affordable than I thought they were going to be when I
Hmm.
first started looking into them. They will create special treats and experiences for you if they know specifically you're coming on a honeymoon. So it's worth checking those out.
That's good to know.
Yeah. You also have that bonus of off-season travel, unless you're a teacher or work in education. Use those times when schools are in session to get discounts and to get that go when things are not so crowded. Definitely do that. And then again, back to the credit card miles, where you could actually see if you could earn a companion pass now. So we have places like Southwest that if you have a companion pass, your companion flies free. American does some things like that. I think Delta does. So definitely look into how you can take advantage of having two people flying now, and using those bonuses. Okay, so some pain points that you're going to find, especially as a new couple, is that you could have completely different preferences for travel.
And
None of
maybe you're
these,
finding that out for the first time, or maybe you're not, but
none of these come from personal experience for sure.
yeah.
Let me give you some warnings. You may have a very different level of what you want out of a vacation. Okay, so we kind of call it a getaway versus a hideaway. So the person who loves a hideaway, they just want to go on a beach away from tourists, just have that relaxing time and be quiet, just have everything stop. Your getaway person, they are up at the crack of dawn because they don't want to miss anything. They want to be out and doing things, exploring the town. And you're going to want to talk about that before you kind of start traveling together. So you know what you want.
That's worth the price of admission right there. I've never considered that before.
You're also going to have different levels of what is fun for you and what's adventurous. So Jonathan, he loves adventure things. Um, he wants to do all the great fun stuff, and I am a wimp. And so you kind of want to meet each other,
Yeah.
kind of halfway. I tried jet skiing for first time when we went away on our 20th anniversary. And
Yep.
that was great. Good. I'm done. I have done it, and I do not want to do it again. but I did
Yeah,
it.
you've checked that box.
I was like, I did it because I wanted to do something you enjoy, you know.
Yes.
And he loved that he did that. He was having the time of his life. And he goes
Yeah.
to Disney with me, you know? Would that be his hobby?
Yeah.
Maybe not,
Yeah.
but you
It's
find
give and take.
things, you know, and just because someone just is too scared and too wimpy to do something does not mean they don't love you. And just because someone really wants you to do something with them, you know, and are pushing your boundaries does not mean they're not listening. It means you both love each other. And trust me, talk about
Love that.
it first, get
Yes.
it all out of the way. You'll find
Yes.
a really good balance and it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
A lot of times couples are busy in this stage. They're starting their careers. They're, you know, they just have busy lives. And so you want to kind of remove that stress as much by having those conversations, talking to an expert if you need to just get it all off your plate, make your bucket list, make what you want happen, let them know, and then they can help kind of take some of that stress off your plate.
Yeah.
Some ideas for you. For your getaway people, think Europe, romance, history, food, wine, get out and explore. You can still have a lovely hotel or resort where you can relax and chill to have a mixture, but those are your getaway places like Greece and Italy.
Yeah.
You could do France. If you want a hideaway, you could look into closer the Caribbean, or you could go further away and do something like Bora Bora, the Maldives. You could get that overwater bungalow and beach,
Ooh.
for miles, just really chill.
Yes.
I think it looks amazing, but then also there's a part of me that looks at it and is like, yeah, but would I be bored after 2 days? Like, there's not much sitting I can do. Now where,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So
Right.
it really, again,
Options look pretty limited.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're an outdoorsy person, think somewhere like Banff as a closer alternative,
Mm.
Switzerland, hiking, you know, take a terrifying gondola up a mountain,
I'm with you. I don't like the gondolas.
or that scary looking train. I don't know.
Yeah,
Good for adventure, and I'll be down the bottom eating bread, waiting for you.
that's right. We'll be waiting.
Okay, so now we're moving on. We have school-age children. Things start to get, you know, more expensive because now you're dealing with more flights and bigger rooms and school. So let's talk about some of those things. Saving accounts are really good. I recommend having a separate bank account that you are putting that money in, that it's not gonna get drained on your day to day, because children are money drainers.
They are.
Something is always going to come up. They're going to rip their school uniform. They're going to grow out of their shoes after 2 weeks. They're
Yeah.
going to, you know, they're going to want to be in sports and field trips and all of the
Yeah.
things. And so if you're not putting it away separate where it won't just come out in your weekly budget, you know, it might not stay. So having a separate account for that is a really good idea.
I think it's also really helpful to be able to see the balance growing. When you see that you're making progress toward the goal, it feels more encouraging, and you have more motivation to continue saving for that specific adventure that you're planning for.
Yeah, it is. It's very exciting. And kids like to see that too, you know. And for us, our kids would always be like, well, can we do this? And it teaches a bit of long-term, you know, not instant gratification and waiting for something good when you're like,
Yeah.
I feel like every year we've had some kind of a trip where they'll be like, hey, can we do this? And I'm like, well, this year it's Japan. We're going to Japan. So anytime they ask for
Yeah.
something, I'm like, well, we're going to Japan. And a lot of
Yeah.
times I've said, well, would you prefer we don't do a big trip like this and then you could do more of this during the year? And they always end up saying no.
Yeah. I also, just as you were describing that, I had the idea it would be fun to encourage the kids to participate in that savings goal and, make it a family plan and just really bring them into that and celebrate the progress together. I've never considered bringing my girls into that, but I think I'll do that going forward.
Yeah. And having them save up for spending money too is really fun, because then when
Yes.
they see that really ridiculous thing that you would never spend money on,
Yes.
you can say, yeah, go for it. You saved
Yes.
up for that. And so it's a win.
Yes.
Lots of
Yeah.
wins. Some ideas, especially for if you're wanting to go to those theme parks and stuff like that, look in places like Target, Costco, Sam's Club will have them on discount. Target always has that 5% off. So that's an immediate 5% savings. And I've had clients pay for their entire Disney trip on gift cards. So, and that's sometimes they will just buy 1 or 2 a week, and that's their savings. And so that's a good place to save there. And then the other thing to think about is booking early, especially if you're looking at a cruise. Cruises will, they will put out their itineraries over a year in advance. And so that get it right away when they put them out, that's the lowest that price is probably going to be. And the closer you get, the more they raise those prices. So if you're thinking about one in 2026, now's the time to put down that deposit, which is usually not too terribly bad. And then you break it down. Okay, how much do I have to save every week? You'll know what to do. You're going to put it in your savings account. You'll be all set by the time you get there. And then if discounts pop up throughout the year, that's no problem. We can definitely apply them as we go. So, but you're probably getting your best price at the beginning. So think in advance of what things you're going to want to do coming up is helpful. So idea or pain points for going with school kids. First, we've got their schedules, which is just a nightmare. And everybody knows when summer break is and when spring break is. And all of those companies are jacking up their prices because they know you're going to pay it because you don't have a choice. So annoying. And I get it. So again, use the planning in advance, use the grabbing those discounts when you can. Like Disney has 30% off hotels for the summer, which is a great deal for some of them.
Wow.
So, but the problem is rooms go quickly. But if you've had your room already booked for a while, and then I just have to call in and say, hey, stick that on my client's bill, then you have saved a good amount of money. Or something else you can do is you can kind of look for those days off in your specific school's calendar that maybe no one else has. So it's a teacher work day, or it's I don't know, maybe they have random weird days off that you can take advantage of. And so you can attach that to a weekend and maybe only take 2 days off school, but you're going to save less crowds, less money, kind of look for ideas.
It's a good tip for Disney, especially.
Yeah. Some other things to think about is keeping your kids entertained while you're traveling. That's so hard. I totally get that. Some things that we've done that are helpful. You can get from the library these little, they're like little squares. They're called playaways, and they're audiobooks for kids. They just have one book and it's not a screen. So they can be doing some, like they can listen while just not always, because that's what everybody just does, like hand them a phone, hand them an iPad. So if you're looking for other ways, that's a wonderful way. And they start at beginner stories all the way up through, you know, Harry Potter or whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we've done that. We have definitely, obviously we do the movies or whatever, make sure that you have good headphones for your kids, especially if you're going on an airplane, because the crappy ones are not gonna, the noise of the airplane, sometimes they still can't hear. So get some good headphones for your kids. Snacks, snacks, so many snacks.
And more snacks,
snacks and lollipops.
And good snacks.
Yes. Lollipops for planes for that takeoff and landing really helps with the ear thing.
So smart.
In the car, 2 things that we've loved when my kids were small. We used an old white box and I filled them with some random Legos, and online I printed out some sheets of like very easy things they could build out of those 20 Legos or something, and I kept them busy. And then we have like magnetic, find all of the license plates from each state.
Yes, I love that game, and my girls love it too.
Yeah, my kids are teenagers and we still do it. Like our last trip, we were only missing Hawaii and Connecticut. Always someone from that Northeast.
Yes, always.
Yeah, we still love doing that. So those are a couple of things that keep them looking up away from screens and kind of help do something else.
Yeah.
And then
we are firmly in our card game era. So the girls are always bringing Uno or taco, cat, goat, cheese pizza.
We have that. Those are great. Stuff like that. Magnetic games, Aldi will have them kind of at the beginning of the summer. Great.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Then you want to find accommodations that are kid friendly, obviously, especially if you're looking at stuff like cruise lines, or because, you know, there's definitely cruise lines where 90% of those people are going to be grandparents.
Right.
Or you're going to go to an all-inclusive and you don't want to go to the party, 20 something. You want to find something
Yes.
good for your whole family. And so when you're just bringing up like all inclusives, like there's going to be so many. And so finding the ones that are right for your family are important. Obviously Disney is pretty family friendly. You don't have to worry about it there. Okay, so here's some places. Obviously Orlando, we deal with it a lot. You've got your Disney World. Universal is coming out with a brand new theme park in May. I am so excited to try it. It looks amazing. A Mario World, How to Train Your Dragon with like actual flying drone dragons and a new Harry
That
Potter.
sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
so many good things. You've got your SeaWorld, especially for roller coaster lovers. SeaWorld has the biggest.
Really?
Yeah,
I would never have guessed that.
huge roller coasters, huge, huge. And obviously
Wow.
the SeaWorldy stuff too, like fish and
Wow.
fish.
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, that's where your big roller coasters are. Legoland for the littles is amazing. And they also even have a Peppa Pig theme park, which is very
Oh,
specific.
cute.
There's a lot of things to do outside Disney
Mhm.
and even Universal in Orlando. And then California has a lot of similar Disneyland, Universal, Hollywood, a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Disney cruises are just so amazing for people with kids. Their kids club are, my kids didn't even hardly want to be with us. We didn't like see them on our cruise. They're just so top level. Their workers are top level. It's amazing. Their private island is just lovely. It's a very relaxed vibe. There's not a ton of stuff going on all the time. So I felt like it was
Mm,
nice to be relaxed with enough things for the kids, a really nice balance. And then
right.
obviously they have some really great family things in the Caribbean. They have kids clubs there too, so you can relax while your kids are doing things. And if you're ready to go a little further, you could think about Hawaii, which is still in the US. So you won't need passports. Luau's, they have where they filmed Jurassic Park and just, I mean, the ocean, lots of stuff there. And then London, you could do, if you have Harry Potter fiends, like this is
Oh,
where
yeah.
go do that studio tour, and then you can take them to some cultural places too. So it's kind of got a nice mix.
We
Okay,
ended up doing London this past summer with my girls,
well, that's
and it
awesome.
was surprisingly child friendly, I would say. Like I was really pleased with how easy I found it to navigate with my
And everyone
daughters
speaks
for
English.
11
So
and
you're not
9. So,
you're not dealing with a language barrier.
right,
It's a good
right.
first step out.
Yes, it really was.
Then they're getting older. Now we have teenagers and they're ready for a little bit more fun adventure. So
Mhm.
something to think about if your kids are like mine, do you want to go somewhere all inclusive so that they can eat as much as they want? I've already paid for it.
Yeah.
Like one major thing for me. So that's why we loved our cruise because my middle kid ate steak for every meal he possibly could until he felt sick. Like, and
Dreams came true.
so much food. So an all-inclusive is a really good idea for teens.
That's a
Um,
good point.
yeah, cruises are great for teens. I feel like it's a really good mixture of independence and um,
Sure.
being together. Um, you can take advantage of things like a non-refundable deposit. Those are usually quite a bit cheaper, but if you're smart and you're buying travel insurance, that's going to cover that non-refundable section. So who cares? It's fine. That'll really help. And they're always offering deals like percentages off your third and fourth passenger, stuff like that. You
Mhm.
just have to think about budgeting for things like tips, which are required and are usually like $18 a person per day. So it adds up. So you have to think that through. Drinks are usually
Sure.
not included unless it's a Disney cruise. Your
Mhm.
excursions are going to be extra, or are you going to do something yourselves? You got to kind of think through those costs also. Some pain points will be keeping them engaged, keeping them off their phones, um, having adventure options, things for them to do that are exciting and, just entertaining for them. They're on vacation too, giving them that
Yep.
little bit of independence, but also keeping them safe. Um,
Yes.
last time we went to Disney, my 13-year-old could not wait to go off with her cousin by herself. Like it was just her dream to like, can we just go over there, just the two of us? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's nice
that's
that we have
cool.
phones now. Everybody has a phone, so it's a lot better than when we were teenagers and we like our parents didn't even know where we were.
Right.
So I feel like we can give a little bit of a longer leash knowing that we still have that connection.
That's so true. Yes.
And then giving them some adventures out in the real world and letting them see things to expand their comfort zone and their horizons.
Yeah.
So some ideas. I have some clients taking their teenagers to Alaska this year as a
Mhm.
graduation kind of party. They're going to go see that, see the wildlife, go hiking, see glaciers, stuff.
Mhm.
Or you could do the opposite and go somewhere warm, Caribbean, enjoy that, Mexico. If you're ready to kind of branch out of there, then you could go further. Hawaii again is a good option. That's feels far away, but is still
Mhm.
US. Costa Rica. I mean, zip lining through a jungle sounds some of my kids would love that. Um,
Yeah.
Somewhere like Spain, where now like they can practice that Spanish they're learning in high school, So
Idea.
like if they're learning a language, going to a country that speaks that language is a really great idea.
Oh, that is. Yeah.
Unfortunately, none of my kids pick the same language. We have a Chinese, a French, and a Spanish, and my son is teaching himself Japanese, so
That's amazing.
none of them can all be the same.
Oh, that would be too easy. That would be too
Right?
easy.
Yes. Well, we are heading to Japan, and that's a great, nice, safe place to take teens. And so we are heading there this summer, or Australia if you're really ready to,
Ooh, yes.
that's Molly's dream, my
I
daughter.
love that.
Okay, so now let's say we're through that phase, we're in college or graduating, and now we're starting to travel as grown-ups. We've kind of got a few generations, and a lot of people turn to Europe around this time.
Mm.
That seems to be like a really popular place to go during
Mhm.
this time. And so just keep in mind when you're budgeting going internationally, and obviously this applies across the board for everybody, your passports are going to cost you something, not just your passport book, your pictures, and then passport fees, which why are they just not included in the
Yeah. Yeah.
so they cost a bit. And then a lot of times now people are kind of, getting a little bit more financially stable and they're like, I could pay to skip the line at security. So we're looking at, your TSA pre-check or your global entry and your clear and just
Mm-hmm.
those things add up when there's more than one of you. So keep those things in mind.
Do you recommend getting one of those specifically?
We have really liked having global entry, especially traveling back and forth to Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Has been very helpful. Uh,
Yeah.
and now they have changed it so children go free under their parents, or we had to pay for all their kids. So under
Okay.
12, I think it is. So
Yeah,
um,
that's great to know.
yeah. Um, People are constantly asking me when is the best time to book flights. It's probably one of the most asked questions I get, and the answer is
Mm.
like it's it's tricky. I don't usually book flights
Mhm.
for my clients for a couple of reasons. I want them to have full control when they travel. If someone else
Mhm.
books your tickets for you, they will not talk to you if something goes wrong. They will tell you to call your travel advisor, and I sleep with do not disturb on. So I don't want
Yes,
to miss your call if something happens. And if I do, if I'm
absolutely.
awake, I am 100% there and will talk to you and help you and,
Yeah.
look for options, make sure you have but travel insurance, they're going to help you with that. All of that stuff. But a general idea for when to book flights. Um, International, you're looking at about 4 to 6 months out, usually is a good. And if you're going during like peak season, start looking a little bit before, maybe 8 months out.
Okay, that's good to know.
And then domestic, you're usually looking 2 to 3 months, around that 3 month mark. Probably you're going to want to start paying attention. My best tip is to use Google Flights to your advantage.
Okay.
If you are at all flexible, you can go in and you can see how much it costs on each
Mm.
day around the time you want to go. And
Yeah.
then once you've picked your dates, you can set a tracker and it will email you when the price goes down. So that'll be your best time. Use
Oh,
Google to your advantage.
yes,
Um,
yes.
and then traveling, when you're abroad, we have a lot of people who are like, well, we just want to do it all ourselves. And then people who are like, well, we don't want to do any of ourselves. Just put me on a bus with a bunch of people. And you can do either of those or a nice blend where you're an independent traveler, but I really want to know about this city. So I'm going to book like a half day guided tour. They're going to tell me all I need to go, and then I'm free and I'm going to explore it by myself. So
Yes.
I always like it.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
great.
We did a food tour this past summer when we were in Europe, and that was for all four of us in my family, that was our absolute favorite highlight from the entire trip. And so I can definitely attest to that being worth the time and the money and
Yeah, have someone who lives there tell you about where they live. I mean, that's a great,
absolutely. What do you like to eat here?
right, exactly.
Mhm.
I mean, I am picky eater, so I was afraid I'm gonna like insult their whole culture, but
Yeah, I think what was cool is that I kind of went outside of my normal comfort zone because I had paid for this food tour.
yeah.
So we went to places that I wouldn't have necessarily chosen, but I was so glad that she
Oh,
had
I love
taken
that.
us to these spots that were some of her favorites. So
That's great. Yeah. Okay, some pain points, and some of these are the same, but so back in the day, everyone used a travel agent because they didn't know anything about where they were going. But
right.
nowadays, anyone can book a trip to anywhere, except now there's so much information. It's kind of like trying to drink from a fire hydrant. And so having help or spending the time prioritizing like the key things, I'll often have people send me their Ireland bucket list and then say, we have 7 days and we want it to, be relaxing. And I'm like, well, let's pick the best things in the best order, and we'll make
Mhm.
it a mixture. We'll give you some time to relax, but also get those key things in. You're going to have jet lag if you're traveling abroad. So just a couple things to help with that. I mean, you're just going to get it. Someone I just read recently gave a really good idea to give yourself a plan of being ready 2 days in advance. Because if you're like me, you're up till 3 a.m. the day before
This
doing
is
laundry
familiar.
still, like, but so this is my goal for this year, is to kind of make myself be ready 2 days beforehand, and then
Mhm.
get good sleep, get good hydration, good
Mhm.
nutrition, so that when the jet lag hits, you have something to fall back on and you're not starting at a deficit before you go. Um,
Yeah.
Trying to sleep on the plane as best you can.
Mhm.
Break for those single people who've upgraded to first class, and the rest of us with, kids and in economy, we're going to
Mhm.
need some melatonin and a travel pillow. That's really good.
Yes. Yes. I had a physical therapist tell me to get compression socks. So I did. And I think that helped too on the flight over. So
Oh, I love that.
yeah.
And then when you get there, you're going to want to keep moving as much as you're going to want to take a nap. Like, the nice thing is that when you're traveling, your hotel's not going to let you in until the afternoon anyway. So you don't have much
Right.
of a choice at first. And I usually kind of book a hop on, hop off bus tour or something that first day just to get people moving, but they can also sit down when they're tired. Um,
Mhm.
but try your best to stay awake all the way until like 8 p.m. Even if it's an early
Yeah.
bedtime, that's fine.
Yeah.
Rest, and that will definitely help. Um, and then again, we've kind of already talked about this, trying to balance your trip so that you're not exhausted when you come home. See a little bit of history, have a little bit of relaxation, do an
Mhm.
adventure thing here and there. We find booking one thing a day and then having some time around it to relax has really helped our trips feel a bit more vacation-y.
Yeah, that's wisdom to limit to one thing a day. I tend to want to cram so much in when I'm
Me too.
somewhere that
And then you
I
need
end
a
up
vacation.
overexerting myself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So here's some of the top European destinations people are going to right now. Obviously, Ireland, I deal with that a lot because I'm from there, and the UK. It's a really great place to start because it's kind of a relaxing culture. Everyone still speaks English. If you haven't been outside the US very much, great, great place to start. And everybody, has an stress, not everybody, but 90% of people who I talk to are like, oh, I'm from Ireland. So you can do some really great things. I just did a webinar with the Irish Tourism Board about ways that you can explore your ancestry on your
Ooh.
trip. And it's so so interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
Then we have, mainland Europe. You've got your France, your Italy, Spain, Portugal, all of those places, and even a mixture of them. We have people do more than one in that area all of the time, so you can see more countries than one on your trip. And then you have the Germany, Switzerland, Austria, bread. I don't know, I just think of bread when I think
Yes.
of pretzels, all of the bread. A great way to see them is a river cruise because you can hit multiple countries at one time and your hotel goes with you. And you
Okay.
might, I mean, I used to just think of that as like the Viking ads on PBS where it's just grandmas and grandpas, but there are
That's my image. Yeah.
yeah, there are lots of different ones. Even Adventures by Disney does one with Ama Cruise Lines where it's for families.
Oh, wow.
Definitely a lot more variety. The Uniworld one, that's just for women. So they've come a long way since wait until you're retired to hit up
Yes.
river cruising. But a really good one, they like do tulips in Amsterdam. They do one.
That's on my bucket list.
Yeah,
Yes.
they do the Christmas markets, which if anyone's making me go out in the cold, it might be a Christmas market.
Better be for that. Yeah.
That's my only cold place that I might want to go.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah. So then we're into retirement travel, which obviously people are thinking about a lot when they're working with you because our whole goal is to be ready for retirement and to plan wisely. And so if
Mhm.
if you have all of these bucket list dreams of traveling in your retirement, like now's the time to talk to your financial advisor and make sure that they know that this is a priority to me and I want to go on this once in a lifetime big trip. Let's make sure that we have that planned in there. And then if you do know you want to go on a 3-week trip to New Zealand and it's going to cost, quite a bit of your money. Okay, well, maybe the 2 years beforehand, you're just going to Branson.
Yes.
You're saving
Yes.
your money because you've got this big trip coming. It's all about thinking long term when you want to do those bucket list trips, starting from when you're, just saving for retirement up until you're in there. So making sure that you're talking with your advisor about that. Obviously, again, we're
That's right.
hitting making sure you have good travel insurance, especially medical coverage,
Mhm.
when you're traveling. Out of state, you want to be careful for everybody because you're
Mm.
you're going to be out of network when you're out of state. So you can also do a thing called zero trip cost insurance, which is only going to cover you for medical. If you're not worried about the cost of the trip, everything's refundable, or you're just like, it's fine. Even look into just getting that medical coverage, especially at this age. Pain points and solutions, mobility is starting to be, something that you might struggle with a little bit more in your retirement years. And so we want to make sure that your trip matches your abilities and that you're not stuck at the bottom of a mountain while everyone's climbing,
Mhm.
feeling left out. We want to make sure that what we plan for you is just so you can enjoy everything about it.
Mhm.
The Amma River Cruise, for example, their excursions are included and they give you a choice. So it's always this one has not too much exertion and then a little bit more. And then, so there's something for everybody. Like when I plan trips to Ireland, some people like to go, the Star Wars islands that are really famous now.
Mhm.
Some people go out and get on them, but that's just all steps.
Oh,
So if
wow.
I have people with mobility issues, I will take them on the boat tour that goes around them so they can still see everything, but they're not getting on the island and then standing at the bottom going, well, I can't see anything now. So talk
Yeah.
through what can I realistically do and how does that, how can we make that work? Again, we've already talked balancing that relaxation with the activity, making sure that you're finding enough time to rest, that you
Mhm.
do not come home exhausted, and downsizing that travel stress by getting some help. Here's now I did actually put the quintessential river cruise picture.
Yes.
They are great though, so I definitely recommend that. And there are, find ones with the people your age so that you have those things in common. New Zealand is a great one too. There's so many different options you can do. It's just beautiful. You can, if you feel comfortable, just rent a car and drive, or we can plan, you can plan something again. That's that luxury bucket list. I've been saving for this my whole life. Someone's going to take you everywhere you want to go. Great idea. or go see the Northern Lights if you don't mind the cold. I like pictures of them. No, I'm just kidding. I would like to see them.
That's on my husband's bucket list for sure.
We check every time we're in Ireland because you can see them from Ireland quite a lot, but we Jonathan has stayed up till 3 a.m. multiple times to see it. So far. Okay. And now we're in our kind of the circle has come all the way around again, and now we have kids again. And so now we're traveling with lots of generations. We want to travel together. And so let's just talk about a few financial things here. It might be your absolute dream to one day be able to pay for a trip for you and your kids and your grandkids and everybody. And again, if that's your goal, you need to start talking about that with your financial advisor now. And you need to be realistic about it. You don't want to run out of money down the road because you have spent it all on this trip. So make sure what you're thinking is realistic. And with that, you have cost sharing. So maybe you can afford a lot of it, but not all of it. Okay, so can your family pay for their plane tickets? Or can everybody pay this much and then you're going to cover the rest? Or maybe we do a cruise and some people would want balconies and some people can only afford interior and some people want an ocean view. And you can kind of make it fit for everybody, but be honest with your family and talk about it up front. What can you afford? This is how much we can help with. And then pick a vacation that matches that. It doesn't have to be something fancy for you to enjoy time with your family. So think about those things.
Communication.
Yeah, exactly. Some places or some things to think about, family suites, where you're all sharing, or a villa or a house where you all get to share one thing can cut down your cost. Again, different levels of cruise cabins if you want to do that. Your pain points. We've got a lot of different age groups, so don't be afraid to split up and have different groups doing different things. We travel with my husband's family very often, and we have people from like my son who's 18 to a newborn. And so you're definitely going to need to split up by age sometime and then meet for dinner in the evening or meet for a campfire, or, sometimes you bring the teenagers along to do the goofy stuff with the kids and they actually have more fun than they think they will.
That's right.
My boys did the Beauty and the Beast little show at Magic Kingdom with all the little cousins, and they were to be the guards in the knights in shining armor. My favorite picture is my boys standing with Belle with their knight in shining armor costume. They were such good sports, and all the little girls were
sweet.
It's fun to do things together.
That is.
Yeah, just be patient. Everyone's going to be on a different schedule. Some kids are going to need naps and some kids are going to want to do things, and communication. This is all about communication and patience and not getting frustrated when things don't go the way you were hoping. It's all about being together and making memories together without, again, coming away so tired that you're regretting it. And so here are some ideas. National parks are a great place to start because you can do a smaller camping trip or you can book some cabins. Again, everyone has different levels of what they're comfortable with. And so it's a good place to start. When we do it, some people are camping, some people are in a cabins. One time, some person stayed in the lodge because she was pregnant and did not want to be dealing with nature. And so
fair,
talking it out and doing, and it has different abilities. Some people can go climb a mountain while other people are, doing some smaller walks at the bottom.
That makes sense.
Again, you could do a London-Paris kind of combo thing because you've got that train in between. You've got your Harry Potter in England and you've got your Disneyland in Paris, and then a ton of culture in between. So you can do. And then I didn't say this before, but for traveling with teenagers, I would probably put them in Royal Caribbean because their boats have so much extra to do. That is like a theme.
That's interesting.
That's where I generally tend to people. I mean, even though I think Disney is great, there's some other, really nice ones, but Royal is my kind of first choice for teenagers. And then, but if you have multi-generational, Disney's great because it does have those quiet areas and those, very tiny, like all the way down to nurseries for babies. So definitely get something for everybody in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So our key takeaways, we've got budget.
Thank you, Karen.
Don't forget to budget.
Yep.
Then use a professional, get some help and someone who like that's literally their job to help you. So a financial planner to help you budget. Like it's
Yeah.
hard to kind of think about everything in your long-term goals and making sure you're in our house. Jonathan makes sure we save for retirement, and I make sure we save for vacation. And it's
Yes.
okay to
Yes.
have, two different.
Teamwork makes the dream
Yeah,
work.
exactly. So I do the weekly, and I say, no, that's enough spending on coffee because we're going to
Yes.
Japan. And he says,
Yes.
that's enough spending on vacation because we need to retire. So
Yes. Yes.
you need
A
you
good
need
team.
both. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And use a travel advisor. Like I said, we are constantly getting trained and updated and talking through what works best for each person and each family. And there's just
Mm-hmm.
so much on the internet. And I definitely have worked with people who send me an Excel spreadsheet of these are all the things that I want to do. And they're researchers, and I love that. And then I can take their plan and mix it around so that it makes sense and that it makes
Yes.
financial sense and time sense. And the thing that I always want to think of is that I'm a terrible upseller person because I never want someone to come back from a vacation regretting that they spent too much or that they put it on a credit card and now they're paying it off for 6 months and it leaves a
Right.
taste afterwards because you've spent more than you thought or you missed out on things that you thought you should have done or there's all
Right.
things. And so that's why working with an advisor who both a financial advisor and a travel advisor who are listening to what you want but also helping you stay grounded and really helps.
Yeah, I found that having a travel advisor when we went to Europe last summer was so helpful because I could call her and verbally process all of the competing ideas
Hmm?
and desires that I had. And
Yeah.
she helped play devil's advocate and just talk through, well, you should consider this, or have you thought about this? And there were so many things, especially when you're taking those bigger trips,
Mhm.
that you just wouldn't consider, but a travel advisor deals with those questions all the time. And so they add a lot of value, even just from the get-go, in terms of trying to decide where you prioritize your time.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you could be the person who literally does not want to spend 1 minute on the internet and say, hey, this is the country I want to go to.
Just
Go.
do this. Yes.
Um, we did another one of these webinars last year in which we had more financial tips, especially for going abroad. So there's not time to cover all of them, but you can definitely go back and rewatch if you
Yes.
are. And then
Yes.
here is my info. If you have questions or you want to plan a trip somewhere, feel free to reach out. Either of these emails will come to me, so you're more than welcome to check that out too. And I think Kristin will send out
Yes.
at the end too.
Yep. You can look for the webinar replay and email in about a week. And Karen, we're just grateful to have you here today. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and for this fun hour. I just enjoyed talking with you and hearing all of your tips and tricks. And I'm looking forward to planning my next adventure. So
Yeah, I
thank
hope
you for being with us.
you're so welcome.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being with us. And again, you can look for that webinar replay email in about a week and be sure to check out Karen's website or email her with questions or for help in planning your next trip. Thanks for coming. Have a great day.